Welcome to the This Could Make Us Famous podcast. You've heard all the stories of the rich and famous. But what about everybody else? Some of the greatest and funniest stories come from everyday people. Here, we share their stories and just maybe make them famous. Let's get started. Here is your host, Jason McCormick.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a long time since we got to see you.
It's been a long
time. Charlie, what's going on, man?
I'm Jim Belushi from the Blues Brothers.
Jim Belushi? Yeah. Belushi? Dude, it has been a really long time since we did a podcast. I've been very busy with work and other things going on in life. What about you, Charlie?
It's been a really longer time.
Even longer time.
Yeah.
You weren't in the last episode.
No.
But what have you been up to, man?
Work and some more work.
What about
and a little bit more work?
A little bit more work. Well, you have two jobs, and one of them was the grocery job that you do.
Yeah.
And then you're a tax guy.
Yep.
So, how's tax season been?
Last Saturday, I did a show with the business.
Oh yeah, and then they also have a business. Him and his wife, my mother-in-law. They have a dog treat business. So, how has the tax season been? Has it been crazy?
It's been real crazy.
Really?
Real crazy. Yep.
So, have you had some crazy people yet?
We've had a lot of people that have come in and have been just dumbfounded, I guess,
At
the results.
Like how much money they're actually getting back?
Or how much money they're not getting back.
How they're not, yeah. I can't even imagine doing that. Like, you're sitting down with people and you have to break the news to them, like, hey, you owe like $3,000 in taxes. And like, what? Do they ever yell at you or get upset?
Yeah.
Has anyone ever grabbed you by the throat and tried to choke you?
No.
That's just your wife that's trying to do that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking. Yeah, so we actually still need to do our taxes, but I've been a little hesitant because ours has always been messy because I did a lot of medical studies. So I had a lot of 1099s. I had a business, and then some W-2s. So it's all over the place. Also with the stimulus, I didn't want to mess that up. So if I file my taxes, do you think it would affect that? Because I was going to do it this weekend, but they just passed stimulus today, and I didn't want to risk something happening and we didn't get our...
If you think you're going to owe, it would be a good time to do it because it's a refundable credit. It's not money. It's a refundable credit off your income taxes. Originally, that's how it was set up. It wasn't set up to get a check sent out last year. It was set up to be a refundable credit on your 2020 tax return. So you weren't supposed to get it till you filed your taxes this year. But because everything went from 0 to 360 so fast, they got money in people's hands as fast as they could to supposedly help boost the economy. And so that's why they got the first stimulus check out. So, and they did it based on either your 2018 or your 2019 taxes, whichever one you happen to file or did. So if you didn't file either one, they didn't have nothing to base it upon. So you didn't get anything. And it could take a turn for the flip side. If they gave you money and there's a certain threshold that falls upon that, your income threshold, whether you get it or don't get it. So things could happen, like you could have a baby. You could have a baby in 2020. Well, when they were basing it off of 2018, 2019, they didn't know you were going to have a baby in 2020.
Right.
So in a sense, you'll get more stimulus money because you had a baby.
Because you had a child, yeah.
Yep.
But they still, they could still go off of 2019's taxes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we should be good. We didn't have anything. And I think the threshold was $75,000 per person, and then what, 150 for
It's up there. I mean, it's up there. It's like 150 or 160,000 for a married couple or something like that.
Well, I mean, you would think that. I mean, I can't be selfish here, but you would think that if someone's making like $150,000 a year, that $1,400 a month is not like a drop in the bucket almost.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's big money. What is that per month? 150,000? I don't know. I'm not good at math, so, but it's a lot more than I make. So, but yeah, speaking of the stimulus, because that's one of the first things I wanted to talk about. We had just today, the day we're filming the podcast, tomorrow it'll be out, but so when you guys see this, it would have been the day before. But the Senate just passed the stimulus bill. They call it Biden's stimulus package, which is $1.9 trillion.
Are you kidding?
I am not kidding. It passed today in Senate, and then it goes back to the House because they amended a few things. And so, yeah, it goes back to the House. I think the unemployment was 400, and there was a specific person, I can't even remember their name, that rejected that. And now it's brought down to 300. So now it's going back to the House of Representatives, and when it passes there, which it should, then it'll go to President Biden.
So the unemployment, I wasn't aware of that being in there, thrown in there. Is that retroactive, where the 600 stopped?
Basically.
Or does it just start from now?
Well, so explain that again.
Is it retroactive back to when the $600 that you got unemployment
I have no idea.
stopped,
So,
or is it just start now? And why are they doing that? There's jobs out there.
well, that's the thing though. That's the reason why they lowered it from 400 to 300, because they didn't want to be in the same situation as last time when they had like people were making more money not working on unemployment than they were going to work. And so that was a huge problem. And I think some people had a problem with that, and they didn't want that to be another situation where you have people that choose not to work because they make more money.
Yeah, if you refuse to go back to work when your employer told you to go back to work, you lost everything and had to pay it back.
Exactly. And so I don't know. I think it was a good call. There are people that are legitimately impacted by this pandemic, you say.
What I'm seeing and what they should take into consideration for people is the expenses involved with people being work from home. Now they're saying that people save money by not having to drive to the office, this, that, and the other thing. But I've seen people where they've had to buy a brand new computer for the home because
and they got to have good internet,
and they got to have the internet and all that kind of stuff now. And there's no money coming back from that because they're just making their regular wage.
Right.
So they're basically making the same wage as if they went to work every day.
Right, but then they have to take care. I don't know. Maybe some businesses take care of some of the utilities because you're working from home. But they're I think from what I've seen and heard about people working at home, I've read some articles to where people were talking about the convenience of it and how it's saving companies a lot of money because they don't have to have an office building anymore. And I think probably. That's going to be a new trend now that people work from home.
Well, say for instance, banking, some of the stuff in the banking thing can be done at home, but do I want somebody doing my banking stuff in their home?
Oh, heck no. But they do got the online banking, which is a big thing now. And we actually have a couple platforms that we use for our online banking that don't charge you fees or anything. And you can use ATMs and they cover the fees. I I would mention their name if they sponsored us, but I'm not going to do that. So, but it's cool. I like it. I'm so sick and tired of, banks that are charging ridiculous fees. And yes, I understand if you get charged the overdraft fee, it's on you. You did it to yourself, but still, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, well, for example, when back in the day, this is like not too long ago back in the day.
Yesterday.
When you had a credit card, if you paid your credit card, if you paid your credit card on a timely manner, which means you weren't late and you paid it on time every monthly, that went towards raising your credit score. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, now it's not based on credits. Has no factor. You could pay your credit card payment whenever because they're going to collect late fees, so they don't care when you make your payment. But paying on time does you no good. So, other than you avoid the late fees. So, and you used to, like I said, you used to get a perk for that and raise your credit score. It doesn't matter now. So, what they're doing now is they're basing your credit score on your balance. So you're getting penalized because you carry a balance that's high on your credit card. So these banks are penalizing you on your credit score because your balance is high. They're making interest off you because your balance is high.
So either way, they're making money off you.
We just actually got a notice in the mail, which is probably going to change our. We're going to probably do whatever we can to get rid of this credit card and this bank because of this particular reason. Because her balance is so high that they raised her interest rate 5% because her balance is so high. Now that's unheard of. Before, if you paid late and you were at risk to them of like filing bankruptcy and then losing the whole entire thing, mm-hmm. they penalized you for that and raised your interest rate. So they penalize her and she pays on time every month. And the reason the balance is so high is because last year when the COVID was going on, our business substantially, the income dropped from that.
Right.
And so essentially what she did is maintain the business by doing some of the expenses more than normal on the credit card. And they didn't give a lick. She called customer service and says, well, that's everybody's case, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, where's the relief efforts? We didn't get, the free financing to sustain the business. We actually haven't received any stimulus payments. We maintained it through our.
Shouldn't you guys get that when you file your taxes though?
Yeah, and I had heard that if you don't file your taxes, I haven't confirmed this with my boss or anything like that. This was just from another coworker, that if you don't file by March 22nd, if there is any stimulus money coming from the first round and the second round, you won't get it.
No way.
Yeah.
Well, you hear that, guys? Make sure you file your taxes soon.
So if you had a kid in 2020 and you haven't filed your taxes yet, I suggest at least inquiring on that or getting in and making an appointment.
Dang. So you guys should get a lot of stimulus money. It'd be a nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
You should definitely take me out to dinner after you get your stimulus. I'm thinking
I will definitely take you to McDonald's.
A McDonald's.
A McDonald's steak dinner.
No, I'm thinking where can we go? Somewhere real fancy spancy. Maybe McCormick and Schmidt for a just a little appetizer, and then cross the street over to Fogo de Chao. Just pig out.
Fogo de Chao's not across the street; it's down the block.
Oh, okay, well, down the block. I still need to file my taxes, and I'm looking forward to that stimulus money. to help out. But yeah, we're talking about the credit card deal. I mean, everybody, well, not everybody, but many people out there have had those same situations. They've had to deal with credit card companies and those stressful situations, debt collectors and all that. Yeah, it's so irritating because it's like when people can't pay their credit card debt, so then they penalize them and add more debt to that debt, and like it defeats it puts them in that situation where they stay in debt. It's like it's a never ending thing.
That's just like if you have a student loan out there and you don't make your payment on your student loan and it goes into default, they automatically add $2,500 to it.
So they're making money off of people.
Oh, student loan is one of the ridiculous things. That gets sold here and sold there and sold here and sold there, and they're just making all kinds of money off of you, off your.
So you're just
debt.
paying. You're like in my younger years when I was really, really irresponsible. I remember talking to a debt collector, and I was like, "So let me get this straight." Like I said this to him, I was like, "You're keeping me in debt." And all I'm doing is paying to have debt. So I'm paying you every month extra interest just to keep debt. And I mean, it's like I am just paying to hold debt on this credit card. It'll never be paid off unless I come up with a big sum of money and just pay it off.
Or you file bankruptcy.
And then they get to write that off, right?
Which brings it to another point. You file bankruptcy, they can send you a 1099-C, which is cancellation of debt, and then you got to claim that on your taxes as income.
Oh, yeah. Yep, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah.
So it's just a lose-lose. You can't
win.
You can't win with credit cards. So if you're not responsible to handle credit cards, don't do it. Yeah. There are people out there that are probably watching this like, I don't have that problem. You're just an idiot with money.
Well, I started off with
I was an idiot.
I started off with mine, and I was paying mine off monthly.
Yeah, and that's what I hear is like I've talked to financial advisors.
Then that one certain situation come up, and if you don't have that cash flow saved,
then it puts you under. Yeah.
Then you're done. You got to do something.
Well, I've talked to financial advisors before that basically said the best way if you can control yourself and handle a credit card is just have a credit card. Don't use the full limit ever on a credit card. I forgot the percentage. I think they might have said use about 10 to 20% of your available balance, but don't ever max it out.
Yeah.
And then pay it off every month. So whatever you would normally pay for, like gas, utilities, and just pay that all off each month. And then your credit is going to...
Well, you never pay interest if you pay it off every month. If you pay that balance off, you never pay interest on your credit card. And they don't like that.
Yeah. Well,
de mucho dinero do not come in with that.
Yeah, they don't like people that are smart, but they make that, and that's the whole point I'm talking about. Like the banks and credit card companies, and
that's why
they all make money off of.
It's a circle. It's a big vicious circle,
right?
And the people behind the big vicious circle are also politically motivated, and. They have their hands tied in a lot of the stuff that has to happen with, one individual in particular actually owns a lot of the the voting machines. And he's tied to a majority of the banks, a majority of the credit card companies. And I will not mention his name. We won't get into politics other than that.
Well, what about, just like them, insurance companies are extremely crooked.
Yeah.
They're like scam artists, man. And the worst thing about it is like you have to have insurance.
Yeah.
You have to have car insurance. And I get it to an extent because...
Well, you don't have to have.
Yeah, you get in trouble and get pulled over and if you get in a wreck. So I get it and I don't get it. So... If I was out there with my family, we got in a car wreck, you would want to be taken care of by someone. But the problem is there are a lot of people out there that drive without insurance. That's what happened to us when they had that high-speed chase that ended with that person that was running from the cops and the helicopters crashed into our van. And thank God my wife didn't get hurt to the point where she was paralyzed for the rest of her life. She came out of it, without dying, which was a good thing. But our van was totaled, and that person obviously didn't have insurance. And so that sucked. And so we had to deal with a lot of situations because of that. But it's like you have to pull teeth just to get your insurance company to want to pay out anything.
Oh, yeah.
So you pay them every month faithfully. If you miss a payment, they let you know, and then you get penalties for that.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And there's a flip side to that, too. Okay. You pay for insurance for what reason? Okay. So you make a claim, you get penalized. Seriously?
Exactly.
Seriously?
Your rates go up
because you make a claim on the insurance company that you haven't made a claim on for 20 years.
Yeah.
You make one and then they jack your insurance rates up.
Yep.
After they made all that money off you for 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, and not to mention, let's not forget the extremely high deductible.
Yeah.
So, in order to, a lot of times if you have a fender bender, it's not even going to exceed $1,000, or it's going to be less than $1,000 or something.
But there's a
deductibles.
mini tort clause in there where you can actually sue that individual for $500. I had to do that years ago.
Really?
Yeah. I stopped at a stoplight or something, stop sign or something like that, and these guys decided that they would back up their car without looking. So they backed right up into me.
Those sons of guns.
And, we had PLPD on the car because
Yeah.
in Michigan, that's all, you could have PLPD, which is personal liability. I don't know what it stands for, actually. But anyway, PLPD is what it was called. So I was able to sue that guy or his insurance company for $500.
So that offset the deductible balance?
Well, there was no deductible because PLPD didn't cover it. It was not my fault. But, in Michigan, you could have, used to be, I don't know what it is now, I've been insurance in Michigan for quite a few years, PLPD, limited liability, or full coverage.
Okay.
Now, PLPD basically were covering your butt if you were at fault in an accident. Limited liability
covers the other person.
Limited liability, if you are at fault,
Yeah.
you didn't have coverage. If somebody else was at fault, you had coverage, basically.
Right. Yeah. So you
And
covered
full coverage
is everything.
everything. It covered you no matter what the situation was.
I always have full coverage. I pay.
The insurance company is kind of so much. We had a situation where Michigan was completely at no fault. Now I don't remember which one it is, but Kansas or Missouri is one of the two of them is no fault insurance, which doesn't matter who's at fault in the accident. Your insurance company takes
care of it. Yeah, we actually used that. We had liability on our van because it was an old used van. I paid cash for it. So I didn't want to pay full coverage on that one. But that kind of sucked when it was a not at fault accident and they didn't have insurance. We did have uninsured motorist insurance, though, that it covered. But we had to fight. Like I said, we had to fight just to get them to pay. And I'll tell you this, these guys, they always tell you this, and I'm sure some of you you understand exactly. You've been in this situation. They do whatever it takes to get out of it, and they will tell you with all certainty that they cannot cover that, or this is the only amount they can pay, and they're not being honest with you. You have to play hardball, and you got to figure out what you feel like you should be compensated from the insurance company within reason. It can't be some stupid, number, and you got to hold your ground. And I've talked to many people that were in the same boat that held their ground when the insurance was going to offer them thousands of dollars less. I mean, many thousands of dollars less. And they had their information, their evidence. and all the documents they needed to prove. And they said, this is what I deserve from you, and I will not accept anything different. And it may take you like a year or two, but I knew one person that held their ground, didn't settle with the insurance company, and they got like a check for $20,000 in the mail from the insurance because they just wanted to close the case, and they would have gotten, a couple grand if that. So
Yeah.
same thing happened with us. They offered us a ridiculous low amount of money, and we ended up getting substantially more, which I know I could have even gotten more than that. But yeah, hold your ground, know your facts, know what you deserve.
Well, it's just like if you get hurt and you have to go to the hospital in an accident, and your insurance company, gets wind of it, which they will, and shows up there and says, well, this is what we can do, at that point in time, say, excuse me, I'm going to consult my attorney first, and before I even, talk to you or acknowledge you anymore. And that right there triggers. Even just saying I'm going to consult an attorney, whether you do or whether you don't, it just triggers, oh boy, where are we going to go with this? And
Right.
then they check it out, but yeah.
Well, and another thing with that, insurance companies, it's so messed up. Hospitals play into that. Like hospitals, if you have to go and see a doctor, even if they just look you over real quick, they upcharge
For insurance
stupid amount of money for insurance claims. Like something that would be a couple $100 there, you get a bill for $3,500, and they didn't do hardly anything. Asked you some questions, filled out a little thing, and they make sure you sign the document so they can get their money. And then you got a bill for $3,500. It's like, what the heck? I mean, that is ridiculous, man.
And then check your bill out too, because if they charge you, charge you for, say, a pair of suture scissors or something like that, go to them and ask, where's my suture scissors? You charged me X amount of money. I want my suture scissors.
Right, I paid for those scissors.
Yeah.
No.
It's just like when you go and have an automobile. Did I say that right? Didn't sound right.
Automobile.
Okay, we'll say car. When you take your car in to get fixed, and a lot of times there's core charge on parts, but a lot of times there's not. And even if there is or there isn't, you paid for that part. They're supposed to provide that part with you, or at least show you that part, so that you know that they actually physically replaced that part. Not just put it on paper and, okay, we replaced this part. Because obviously you can watch those documentary shows news shows where they go in and Johnny Sue goes in and pretends that her car's broke, and a guy, undid a spark plug or something like that before she went in, so it was misfiring, and all they do is put the spark plug wire back on top of the spark plug and say they did a tune-up on the car or something like that, So, they're supposed to provide, or at least show you
proof
that they...
Well, and I was watching the show. It's funny you say that. I was watching the show a couple years ago. Was it Dateline? They do investigation. I think it's Dateline.
Yeah, Dateline does shows.
And so they have there was a couple different ones. One of them was locksmiths, and then the other one was for HVAC companies. And they rigged up this air conditioner outside with cameras, and they had professional techs. Just all they did was disconnect a wire, and they had this lady in on this whole thing. And so she called these HVAC companies to come in.
Those gullible women, they just take advantage that they're getting taken care of, and they're hitting it.
They're getting taken advantage of, because these stupid men that are just not nice. So anyways, that happened. So she called an HVAC company to come to fix the issue, and you see it on the camera. They come, they take the thing apart, and they look, and they clearly see that the wires are disconnected. So it's a simple fix. Just connect the wires and it works. And so then they come back in and they tell the lady, hey, it looks like this certain part needs to be replaced and it's going to be like $900 to replace it. And all it is actually a disconnected wire. So they were completely dishonest, lying. And so then the person comes in with the camera and busts them. And then they have nothing to say after that. So, and they did that with...
I would come up with something to say. Oh, I was just testing to see if you knew.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? I was testing you to see how much you...
Passed the test. All it was just two connected wires back together.
I'll be going now. Good job. Charlie, you're good at getting out of stuff. So, and then they did another one, which I totally like have had suspicions of this happening to me, but Jiffy Lube was one they investigated. They took an oil filter, they drew a smiley face on it, put it in the car, and rigged up some cameras, and they charged them to do the oil change, and they go and they check, and it's still the same oil filter, smiley face and all. And they looked at the footage that was from the cameras that were rigged up, and they didn't do the work. They didn't do the work, and they charged the customer, and they said that there was only a couple out of all those Jiffy Lubes that they went to. There was a few that actually did the job.
Wow.
And so I try to watch through the window.
The problem with that is it only takes one bad apple, one
ruin it
rotten apple, to ruin it for all of them. So even if it was just one that did it, their name is ruined. And that's what they don't put out in this thing. They don't, when they do these things, it's not all HVAC companies. It's not all oil change companies. It's one. But just be aware of it, Be aware of that this stuff is happening. This stuff can happen. Just like, for example, the IRS will not call you. The IRS will not email you. They will send you a written letter in the mail to contact you. So if you receive a call and says it's the IRS, or you receive an email saying it's the IRS, it's hogwash. It's a scam.
And there's plenty of those out there, man. I just had a guy call me the other day that was trying to do something, sell me something or settle something with me, and he wanted my social security number, and I was like, that's
what I would say.
I said, no.
Oh, who is this? John? Oh, well, I need your social security number so I can verify that when I send my social security number to you.
Yeah, exactly. And I told the person, I was like, look, you might be legit, but you might also be a scam artist, and you might steal my identity. So I don't feel comfortable with giving my social security number out on the phone.
Whatever it is, whether it's a bank, whether it's a job, whether it's whatever it is, if they need your social security number, they already have access to your social security number. So they're not going to be calling you and telling you that we need your social security number.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. They've already got it. If you've dealt with a bank, they've got your social security number. If you've dealt with, an employer saying we overpaid you or whatever and we need this money back, you got it. Anybody that would be calling you, asking you for a social security number, they already got it.
Yeah.
Anybody calling you, asking for your address, they already got it.
Yeah, they should have your address. Unless you moved, but it's just there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of that stuff going on, and they target elderly people the most, which is a shame. Like, they have no conscience.
I have to watch my wife every day.
Yeah, I do. It irritates my wife, but whenever she's like talking to someone through an email, because she does real estate, so she deals with all kinds of people. I'm pretty good at picking up red flags on stuff. I've been scammed maybe once, twice, and it wasn't a major
3 times.
No, I'm not very trustworthy. Like, I don't trust people very much as far as like.
Well, trust is earned.
Yeah,
so.
it is definitely earned, and if you don't know the person, then there's no trust there. It shouldn't be, and you just got to be careful. I mean, these guys these scam artists can do so much stuff. I've seen them like hack the Ring cameras in people's houses and talk to them. And it's actually pretty easy for them to do that.
This is God. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I can't even imagine like walking around your house in your underwear and they're like, I see you. Like what? But yeah, you just got to protect yourself. Be careful what you say on the phone. Don't give out real personal information. And watch out for emails. I mean, I had a couple emails sent to me the other day saying something was wrong with my account and I needed to verify and just sign in, and it sent me a link, and it gets you like you're alarmed by it, and so then you click on the link and then they got you.
Have you ever done that great big social media thing that everybody does now, and people are going
TikTok?
Going to a different one? No, it's not TikTok.
Oh,
you know which one I'm talking about. Initials might have something to do with this.
Oh,
yeah.
Your face.
Yeah. Anyway, that big social media platform, which doesn't sponsor us, so I ain't mentioning anything about them. You'd be on there and you'll click on a link, okay? And then the link will take you to this thing, and then it will want you to go back to click on to Facebook. Well, that's how they hack you. You're already on Facebook. I just mentioned it, didn't I?
Yeah, whatever. Everybody knows what we're talking about. They're like, dude, it's totally Facebook. No, okay, so that's when I got scammed. I did get scammed. It's on one of the podcasts we did off of a Facebook ad. Remember the mask?
Yeah.
That I got scammed on that. So I thought I was buying a legitimate mask that looked like a real old man. It was amazing. And they were putting the silicone mask on. I was blown away. I'm like, this is going to be hilarious. And then I bought the mask. It comes in way, way late. And then when it shows up, dude, I'll put a picture up right here.
Right now,
this second, you can see it. So yeah, you just saw the picture. It's ridiculous. I can't even believe it. It was so fake. The eyebrows were crooked.
If they're on Anchor, they can't see the picture.
Yeah, if you're on Anchor, you can't see it, so you just have to imagine it. The eyebrows were crooked. It was like they used just plastic.
It looked like they took a mask mold and kind of beat it to death.
Beat the mask mold to death.
And then molded the mask.
And then molded the mask after they beat it again. And then used a blowtorch on it. I mean, it was so funny though.
The mask.
When
Jason was in the mask, he looked like one of those redheaded stepchilds that you don't claim.
Yeah, just look at that episode with the Facebook, the fake ad that I got. Yeah, so I fell victim to that, and it sucks. But anyways, I'm very cautious these days. Very cautious. So. We have been watching, today we were watching, right before we came up here, we were watching the show called Forensic Files, and I freaking love that show. I've been watching it for years. I've pretty much watched every episode, and I'm so fascinated by just how science can solve pretty much most crimes, and it's getting better as science advances. How they could take like a single hair or like a plant that they find at the crime scene. They can connect it to a specific area that plant comes from or that seed comes from, and they could solve a whole case from it. I mean, it just blows my mind. And we were watching one today about the lady that what was her name? The lady that basically went to the Supreme Court many years ago and got prayer out of the schools.
I don't know.
She's very underwhelming.
Her name's not even worthy, I don't think.
Not important. And basically, she ended up dead, and I think her sons.
One of her sons
and some other person.
And it was her granddaughter.
Granddaughter, yeah. And weren't they like their torso, like they were cut in half.
No. They were their legs were cut off, and they figured it was for easy transport. His partner in crime, who they say was a drinker, and drinkers kind of go beep, 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 when they get drunk.
Yeah.
And so, beep, 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 beep.
Beep, beep, just like that. Beep, beep, beep,
Yeah,
beep,
just
beep,
like
beep,
that.
beep, beep. I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Beep, 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 beep.
So anyway, they said he was kind of, and loose lips sink ships,
Yeah.
and so he got sunk. And basically
Big time.
they took his head off and his hands off, so they couldn't have fingerprints and
Identify him.
couldn't have his.
They pulled his teeth too?
They took his head off. He took his head off, so only found his torso.
Oh, they found the torso. Oh,
And
geez.
they found a torso in water, but when they finally questioned this guy, he led him after 5 years. He led him to a burial ground down in Texas,
Yeah.
and they found they found the guy's arms and his head there, and so basically what they did, and Jason was saying about the forensic stuff getting better. They had this anthropologist in there, and the forensic team got together, and they took a picture of what he looked like when he was because he was a convict, so they had a picture of him on file. They took a picture of him, and they kind of blew it up a little bit to be life size. And then
Then
they took what remained of his skull, and they put those at the skull at the same angle, and took a picture of the skull at the same angle, and then they imposed the two together, basically photoshopped the two together, and you could see that it matched perfectly. And so they were able to say, "Yep, this is so and so for sure."
See that, and that's what's so fascinating. Like they've gone through every situation you can imagine, and they run into new stuff every day.
Yeah.
But other police departments collaborate with other ones in other countries that have discovered different methods to solve this situation. Sometimes it takes a long, long time for them to come up with that, but it just blows my mind. I've seen so many of these cases. They find people that commit insurance fraud where they try to murder their spouse or set fires to their homes, and it's absolutely fascinating. And I know that even with the whole 9/11 thing, they had so many victims that could not be identified that were still missing. And all they found was like bones, like parts of bones, because the fire was so hot. And they were able to do some kind of method that they discovered where they break it down and crush it, and they're able to extract DNA from that. They figured out a way to do that. And I can't remember the exact method they do, but yeah, it's just amazing. And they were able to identify a lot of those victims from 9/11 based on that, just from having some bone fragments.
Yeah. Well, back to this one case we started talking about. When they started questioning him, his girlfriend come forward with some information and led him to a storage unit down in Texas. And from the storage unit, they basically went in and tore it apart. And they found a container and they found that the container did have bleach, which would be used to clean up blood and stuff. Well, in the storage unit, they pulled apart part of the wall, and they found a droplet of blood that's about the size, smaller than my pinky. And in that droplet of blood, they found this lady that we were talking about and her son's blood combined.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how they connected that, because that storage unit was rented by this guy.
Right, they placed them there
Yep.
from that.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like they're able to place people in certain spots. Like I was watching one yesterday where this boy was beaten half to death with one of his other friends, and they were tied up, taped, their arms taped, hands taped, and they were set out to drown. They put him underwater and hit him with a baseball bat. Brutal. one of the friends played dead underwater, and so they didn't hit him, and they took off. And then he immediately, when he broke free from the tape, he went and grabbed his friend that was drowned, basically, and ran to the nearest house carrying him. And they were young boys. It's amazing. And so he gets there and knocks on the neighbor's door. They come out. Long story short, they both survived. And they ended up doing their investigation, and they had an eyewitness in the area that said there was a young man that came to her house that said he was sick and he needed something to drink and something to eat, and can he use the phone, whatever. So he goes there, and he was basically just scoping it out, and they find out that this lady was the intended target for these boys. So he leaves, and then she's up in her bathroom, and out of the corner of her mirror, she sees outside these boys gathered outside her house, and they were plotting. One of them had a baseball bat. And they were plotting an attack or something. And so she says something. She knew they were up to no good, and so she said, something along the lines like, "Hey, you guys look like you're up to no good. You need to get out of here before I call the police." So they leave. And then that's when they see those boys, and they attacked him instead of her. But where I'm going with this is they were able to place them at the scene, because after she gave that evidence, they tracked these guys down and found some shoes that had mud. And they found a scientist that was at a university near there, and they were able to discover that some kind of organism that was in that mud or the dirt was the same one that was in that pond. And so they were able to place them at the scene of that pond. And it's that kind of stuff is just incredible. They can do that. So
makes you wonder.
People cannot.
I seen some mud on Jason's shoes the other day.
Hey, I mean, I've been really angry at people, but I can't even hurt a little insect, man. Oh my gosh, I got to bring this up.
What?
Charlie, you reminded me. So you guys are going to get a kick out of this. Warning for anyone that's squeamish. I had a situation just a few days ago where one of our roommates that lives here went into the shed out back, and they found a raccoon hanging from the rafters. And
from the rafters?
Yeah.
Wow.
They found a raccoon hanging, and then they sent me a message saying, "Did you hang a raccoon in the shed?" And I was like, no.
Jason's getting hungry, so he needed some extra.
Yeah,
money.
and I wanted to make a raccoon hat.
We should
have got one.
I should have got you a raccoon hat.
Oh, dang it. Hey, I could still get one and then just put myself in there.
Daniel Boone, he is not.
So I got a raccoon hat, and then I could just put like a little video clip of me wearing it. So
Did
yeah,
you take a picture of it? You should post.
I should put it.
Oh yeah, because you showed me the picture. That's right.
Right,
You
right.
have it.
I could Photoshop one on my head.
Put that one on. I'm
Yeah.
hanging from him.
God. That's all right. That's disturbing. So, anyways, I was like, no, it wasn't me. I didn't do that. I would not do that. And so then I'm thinking, wow, somebody's on our property doing some weird stuff. I go back there to see what's going on, and this raccoon was hanging from the rafters, and it was a freak accident. It wasn't hanging by a rope, so it looks like the raccoon was climbing through the rafters, and like where the triangle, from the frame of the roof, where it meets, there's a little tight point there and a little hole. So somehow there was a board fastened there. So there was a little hole like this, and the raccoon got his head in there, and I think he lost his footing, and he fell backwards, and he snapped his neck backwards. So like he was like bent like that. And so it was horrible. And so I see this, and I could show you a picture. Do you think I should? Or will I get taken down from?
I don't know.
I'll put a picture up there, but warning what you're about to see if you get squeamish and you hate seeing any animals hurt.
He didn't hurt this animal.
I did not hurt the animal. It was
hurt
like
himself.
that. And I have video footage. I ain't going to put that up there, but I was very crushed by what that animal went through. So anyways, I'll show you real quick this picture. So there you go. That's what happened to the raccoon. So that was so disturbing how his neck was just broken backwards. And it was so hard to get him off. I had a stick and I took this stick and I'm swinging him like this, trying to get him to fall off, and he wouldn't. So his body's just going like this, swinging back and forth. And I'm just freaking out.
Sure you didn't break his neck when you were swinging him back?
No,
and
he
forth?
was already broken, man. And so then I go like this, and it was stupid of me to want to do this, but then I took the stick like this and I started pulling it towards me. And I'm thinking, if his head pops out of there, the raccoon is going to fly towards me and hit me dead on. And so I'm freaking out. I'm getting ready to jump backwards. And so I started twisting him around, and then finally his head pops loose, and then he just plops on the ground. Man, those things are big. Those raccoons, they're huge, and their claws are no joke. So I get that stick, and I put it where his claw is, and the claw held on to the stick, and I was able to drag his body all the way out to the woods. And that's where he's still at. I checked on him today.
Did you?
He's still there. He's still dead. So rest in peace. At the end, I'll just put a little, in memory of the raccoon.
No raccoons were harmed in filming
Yeah,
this
no
podcast.
wreck. So I felt so bad, dude. I love animals so much. I absolutely love them. Even the worst of the worst animals, even bugs. I mean, I've killed some spiders in my day.
You should also post about the raccoon you seen when you were going to get in the car, how you reacted.
The raccoon I saw when what?
When you were leaving for work one day.
Oh, that wasn't a raccoon. That was a skunk.
Well, same.
Oh man, that was on one of the podcasts. I had a security footage of that. Oh my god, dude! I turned the lights. I was unlocking my cars like 5 o'clock in the morning, so the lights come on in the car, and right there was a skunk right in front of the car. So his tail pops up because he's freaked out. Oh man, my soul left my body after that. I was like, oh.
Needless to say, Jason didn't have anybody around him that day at work.
No, yeah, Pepe Le Pew got me. No, he didn't. But I did smell some rank stank as I was driving down the road on the way to work. I'm like, gosh, dang it. So, but yeah, rest in peace to the raccoon that died. I'm sure he's got some relatives that are not happy. And that's a sucky way to die, man. I know raccoons are not very nice either. Like, they kill chickens and...
Oh, they are horrid. Disclaimer, if you have a weak stomach or whatnot, don't listen to this part.
All right, I got to hear this. Tell me.
I came home one day, and it wasn't our chickens, but needless to say, it was a chicken. Maybe
Okay.
it was the goose. He had ducks and geese and chicken, and they all roam free on our property. But I came home, and I'm coming up the driveway, and I seen one of them. I'm pretty sure it was a chicken, but it could have been a goose. But it was waddling like this, and I'm thinking, what the heck? Get into some moonshine or something? Somebody's got back in 40 or what? And so I get up closer, and the headlights shine, and literally there is a hole right in the middle of this. I think it was a goose, right in the middle. Ate out because the coons eat the guts. That's what they like, the guts.
Oh, that's just... So is a zombie goose? So somewhere out there's a zombie goose loose. Guys, you need to watch out for the zombie goose.
Don't fear if you live in the Delton, Michigan area.
Dude, that would be so crazy if like what we think is a zombie apocalypse with humans is actually geese. And you got a bunch of flying geese that are zombies. and they attack people, and that's how it all starts. Oh man, that should be a movie.
Could be.
Zombie geese. The attack of the zombie geese. I never even thought of that. Wow. So, gosh, that would have been disturbing to see.
It was pretty disturbing to see. It was like,
like, what the heck, man?
So I called one of the guys down at the lake, and he come and grabbed it and took it out back and
Shot it?
probably shot it to put it completely gone. Yeah.
How does it
He had some
survive?
he had some type of bird the next day for dinner too. I don't know.
Yeah, he invited everyone over, and you're like, what? Wait, what the heck's this? Is this that?
No, he didn't.
Wow, we're gonna be taken down by PETA. They're gonna be like, you bastard. So, anyways, guys, we had a good time today, and we covered some good subjects. I think it went pretty well, and man, I have missed doing podcasts. It's been relaxing though, taking a little bit of time.
Jokes. I didn't tell any jokes.
Yeah, we didn't do no jokes or Charlie's bag or any pepper challenges, and I'm sorry for that. But we had to ease back into it.
Are there jelly beans in here?
Oh, we're done with the jelly
Look,
beans.
there they are.
What we should do is get a taser, and we could take turns zapping each other, and whoever falls unconscious first, then we end the podcast, so that person's the winner. But yeah, guys, we missed. But yeah, we missed you guys, and we look forward to being back and doing some more shows for you and getting some more guests lined up. And it's been real, Charlie. We didn't do the buzzer today, but I do thank you for being on the podcast as usual. You are a great guest. You're a great friend, a great co-host, and a great stepdad, and a great person. And I am very grateful. So, guys, we are out of here. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and stay tuned for the next one. And remember what I always say every single time, and Charlie interrupts with something that takes us off on a rabbit trail when I'm trying to
No,
end.
I'm looking at the time over there, and it's like,
Yeah, well, we'll
plus
go
I'm
ahead.
hungry too. So.
But guys, be good out there. Love one another. Let's make this world a better place. From all of us here at This Can Make Us Famous podcast, we're out of here. Take it easy. God bless you.
See you later, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the This Could Make Us Famous podcast. Want to help make someone famous? Have a story to share? Get in touch with us at facebook.com/This Could Make Us Famous. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss a single episode.